Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft Season 5. Today is the episode where finally we get around to doing that project I've been wanting to do for some time, I'll tell you. But first of all, I need to go flying with some rockets, and what would you know, there just happens to be very convenient dropper lying around here full of firework rockets. Well, we are using that straight away. If you haven't seen the last couple of episodes, peeps, we've been working on an amazing sugarcane farm. That thing has actually been running around the clock, but now that I think about it, I haven't really been on the server much. I've been playing Fullcraft since I last... And no torches, that's a bad torch. What is it doing there? I don't know. Let's go check the chest. That's a reasonable amount, and that's a few more stacks of gunpowder. Nice to see that this is doing its thing, though. Isn't it nice? It's pleasant. And we want to go over the edge here. We've got to do some pro skills right here. Ender pearl up, fall down, press spacebar, and rocket up into the sky. Amazing stuff. So that's what we've been up to. And then we installed those rocket factories. And in this episode, we are going to make a squid farm, and the design we're going to use is something I've been wanting to build since day one of Season 5. I've had this idea in my mind. A couple of the other hermits on the server have actually built this farm as well. It's a really cool and clever design, and I've been thinking about where to put it, and today is the day that we pull the trigger and potentially build this. And I've actually changed my mind last minute about where we're going to build this. So this spot over here is where I was thinking of building a squid farm. Now, fun fact for you, squids, they don't spawn in the mushroom biome. If I press F3, you can see on the left there it says biome and mushroom island. And me being so wonderfully prepared, I have no blocks in my inventory for placing. What we need to do is grab some cobblestone or something like that, just something temporary, you know, and go over here and I can show you what I'm talking about. So, we're on the Mushroom Island shore, and we are still on the Mushroom Island shore, and we're still on it, and there we go, ocean. So this is going to be like the border around where the ocean starts. Ocean there again, and this one's actually Mushroom Island, ocean there, and we're slowly creating a little bit of a shape. Oh, are you ocean here as well? Okay, that's interesting. So we got a crazy decision to make here. Now what you're looking at, where the cobblestone is, that is the places that the squids can't spawn. And I'm going to assume that all the blocks behind them as well are going to be places they can't spawn because of the biome. So if we were to make a tank in this area, there would only be certain parts of it where the squid would spawn. And it's all going to be about how many spawning spaces in total. Now I thought this location was great because it comes quite close to the center of our base. But it occurred to me that there is another place that comes quite close as well, and it's over on this side where the ocean comes in real close right here. This is actually probably closer than the other one, and this is probably going to be a lot easier to work with. If we press F3 and pop ourselves into the water here, you can see that it's Mushroom Island shore here. If we go out a little bit, at some point, there you go, it's going to be ocean around here, and then it's going to be nothing but ocean, and we've got a large space to build a squid farm. And there's already squids here, which makes me think that this is probably the better location. Now, I like the other one because it fit quite snugly into that area, but really you want to pick something that's going to be a little bit more effective, and I think it is this place right here. So, what I should probably do is measure the distances between the two places, right? Like, how far is this from the center, and how far is the other one? So, I've done some very crude maths. This one right here is about 5 or 6 blocks away from the center of our base, and then in this direction it is about 80 blocks away. Now the other one is 70 blocks away in that direction, but in terms of going over to the side, it's about 30 or 40, so it's going to be a little bit further away, but it's going to have a ton more spawning space. But I love the cleverness of this little location. There's a cove here, the squids will technically spawn, and I've just got to make up my mind. Because this one is slightly closer, I do believe it means that we're going to have more squids spawning here. And speaking of which, we actually have one right there that just spawned in this area. Maybe that's a sign that this is actually where we should be building this thing. Okay, I've decided it's going to be this location right here. Now, when I first came to the island at the beginning of Season 5, I was looking at the place and mapping out all of the ideas that I had for the season and where I wanted different things to go. And one of my first ideas was actually to put this squid farm just in this location because there was a nice little cove here. Now, I didn't really think about what the biome was and how big this tank could be. and we're definitely going to end up with something that's smaller than I'd like it to be. But before you go writing those angry comments down below telling me that, oh, so-and-so already has an ink farm, borrow it from them, or why aren't you building Ilmango's super duper squid farm 5000, let me tell you, I would like my own personal squid farm, and I don't need this thing to pump out crazy amounts of ink sacs. I'm sure we'll get by with lower rates. So this area right here I think is going to be alright. It's obviously not going to be as fast as the other one, but I want to build it where I originally planned on doing so. Now we've got the cobble marking out the spaces where the squid will spawn. We want to include as many of those spaces as we can inside of the tank shape. And me being me, I would like to make this shape, you know, like a square or a rectangle or something that's nice and uniform to look at. And if we go back up into the sky, what you'll see is that that's not really going to be possible unless we want to shave off a lot of spawning spaces. So if we have a straight line down there, everything works out pretty fine. We get to include all of those spaces. But when we put a straight line over on this side, let's say we started there, you can see as we come down we're going to lose a few spaces over in this area, and actually to be fair it's not a lot, but if we wanted to include those then this line would go all the way up there into the sand, and you should be looking at the center of your screen where my crosshairs are to understand what I'm talking about. So rather than have like a slanted wall, I think we should stick to having a key shape like a rectangle. However, what we might be able to get away with is making the edges of that rectangle curve a little bit. Now this isn't a great example really because that's not much of a curve, but we might be able to squeeze in a few more spaces if we think like that, you know. So let me lay down some leaves here and we'll see what kind of shape our tank is going to be. This is actually not as complicated as I thought it was going to be. I think when you're standing up there, that looks a lot closer, right? Because we're coming over this spot, which means we're just going to shave off a few spaces. Now, if I move this wall out by 2 blocks, we include everything, and we may be even able to push it in this direction a couple of blocks and pick up a few more spaces just over here as well. And then it means we can do a little bit of terraforming and just push back some of the blocks over here, which I don't think is going to be a problem. So that means we've got a nice big tank size. We cover all of the spaces that we can. And actually, this is going pretty smooth so far, you know. I thought we'd be running into some problems with this. So I've settled on that first shape that we drew out. I've actually made the corners a tiny bit bigger, but I'm not sure that actually looks nicer. May change that one, and also I put in some glass, which is what we're going to check out right now. We need to pick a colour, and before you go suggesting a combination of colours, I don't really want to use lots of colours because as they start to overlay it can cause a bit of lag. You've got to be careful with using that stained glass. It's good, but it isn't optimised for using large patterns with lots of different colours together, right? So over here we got blue, which has sort of got the short end of the stick as it's underneath the cobble. That goes in sort of alrightish. We've got cyan in the middle and light blue over here, which sticks out the most but in a nice way in my opinion. That looks a little bit dull. The other one's too dark. I think light blue is the colour we're going to go with here, which makes sense in terms of dye as well because you can use less lapis, which I'm pretty sure I'm running low on as I hardly do any caving. So I reckon this is going to be the colour we go with. And let's not forget the view that the squids have. From in here, the blue is actually probably the nicer of the three, but it's us that's going to be looking at this. Well, actually, the squids will be looking at it more, but then again, they're Minecraft squids. I don't think they have much going on in their heads, you know. So from here, it looks pretty cool, and this is the process now, just filling it in until it reaches the bottom. So a trip to the desert got me all the sand to turn into glass so that I could finish building this thing, and if we dip our head into the water you can see I've built it going all the way around the sides. Now what I don't think I want to do is dig this all down and have glass all the way along the walls here, because what you see behind it is just sand and dirt and stuff like that. So we're going to dig away this stuff down and we'll fill this in with another block which will become part of the wall. Then behind this I also want to remove the stuff that you can see. So if we go over to this side, there's some very obvious sand right there. I'm wondering if this is going to be easy to do when you're on the opposite side. Should be easy enough, so we want to dig that away. Right, because it's touching the glass, that's got to go. And this bit here, yeah, actually this is going to be pretty straightforward I think. Now if we go back on the inside, we should see it looks a lot cleaner. Yes, that's definitely nicer to look at from in here, which is a view we're not going to have too often, although I'm considering putting in some sort of viewing balcony over on this side. But let's come back to that idea later on. Let's tidy up these walls and dig this thing downwards. Just in case you didn't know, you can instant mine underwater. And I love the little bubble effects that come off while you're doing this. It's seriously cool. I like it a lot. And if you're wondering what we're up to, we're digging all the way down to, where are we at? Y46. In fact, down here we will be looking at 45. 46 is the block that they can spawn in and above up to sea level, so they won't spawn at that level there, meaning that's going to be the bottom of the farm. And this is a really great sign that there are squid here spawning. So by digging this down, we're going to increase the overall spawning area of the farm. It's a pretty epic sight from down here. I'm loving these little particle effects in the water. They probably don't show up on the video. But anyway, you can see that we dug out a large space. There's some weird water things around there. There's also a cave over on this side that the water has flown into. Now, I don't think this cave connects with a part of our base or anything, but I was slightly worried that it might find its way to some redstone or something. But it appears to end just down there, so we should be good. And I can see zombies over here. There's probably going to be a lot of mobs in this area. Yep, there's quite a few squeezed down there because the rest... Oh, goodness me. Oh, there's a witch as well. This place is really bad. Let's leave. Yeah, there's the mushroom biome in this part of the caves that are lit up. So mobs won't be spawning there, but they will spawn in that area. So the next thing for us to do is to build the walls going down. I decided to use this light blue terracotta. Just like nice and plain that looks good and fits with the water, which I think is cool. Thing is, the wall itself gets a little bit wonky in places, so I think what we should do is try and smooth that out a little bit as well. So where this wall goes up and down, it won't look so ridiculous as it does in some places at the moment. Let's jump on in and check out the view. Looking very nice. We've got a plentiful amount of squid in here, which is nice to see. And this going around the outside here is actually really nice. I like the way that the light kind of fades down the wall. And that might be obstructed in places by the cobblestone up above. But it's a very nice effect. And if we go over here, you'll see that I've actually dug out an area below this as well. Now, this is where we're going to pick up the ink sacks. We will, at some point, just create a rail that goes back and forth for a hopper minecart to go and pick up all of the ink sacks. But, of course, I haven't even told you how we're killing the squid yet, which is something we're going to do in a moment because it's going to lead us on an adventure. There is a skelly butt down there, kicking my butt, being annoying. Yeah, before we do that, we've got one more problem to solve, and I can kind of demonstrate it as I swim around here, okay? I'm swimming real slow, and that's because we've got downwards flowing water in here, which is actually going to be a bad thing, believe it or not. So we have a problem. That problem is downwards flowing water. Not all of it is going to be downwards flowing, but we need to figure out how we're going to repair this. I put you in the wrong place, haven't I? There we go. Okay, so we got source water across the top, and that is to demonstrate that everything below it is now going to be downwards flowing water. What we need to do is create those source blocks on the bottom. Now, if we have a source block here and here, what they would normally do is create 4 source blocks, right? I don't know if they actually do that now. That's the thing that kind of needs experimenting. I mean, am I clicking into that block? I think we are, and I think that actually worked, which is kind of peculiar. I'm going to do this test again in a moment, but bear with me. We've just put source blocks across the bottom. Now we're putting it on the surface above, and that might all fill in, or it might not. But when we remove the top stuff, the top surface is always going to do that. So we put in the stone, we break it out again, and you can see everything below it is water sources. Excellent. So you've probably figured it out. We've got to do this on that giant tank over there. I also want to experiment with this a little bit more, but if we use ice, we can create water sources. So imagine a big zigzag ice line going from one corner all the way over to the side, back over in that direction. We've got to build that basically from the bottom to top to guarantee that everything in here is actually a water source. So I need to gather a crazy amount of ice. Goodness me, this is going to take me some time, I tell you. Poor old Mumbo's been pranked once again. I'm not going to tell you or show you the prank. It's got something to do with lag though, let's say that. And anyway, I looked at a map. Yeah, a little bit of a story for you, okay? I use a program called Abyss to check out the seed of the world and explore it and all of that kind of stuff. And that program has stopped working on my computer for unknown reasons. I can't quite figure out why. And anyway, I had to go look at a map, and next to Mumbo's base is an ice spikes biome. Actually, it's not ice spikes. There should be ice spikes somewhere around here. Anyway, this is what we're here for, the river. This is a good source of ice, so I'll probably set up a water pool as well. And just over there in the distance is the ice spikes biome. Now, I'm trying to remember where I went earlier in the season, because I'm pretty sure I built a water pool over there, like just a big flat area of land, one deep with water to turn into ice. I can't remember if it was this area or not, but I don't think it was. I think I went somewhere else. The thing is, this one is a lot closer, so I don't know why I went there. But I used a mist, and this time I've just got this map. So anyway, the harvesting begins. We're going to need a redonkulous amount of this stuff. If you want a quick and easy way to get yourself lots of ice, when I say quick and easy, there is a bit of a time investment, right? You want to pick a flat area like so, and then come over here and just find where the edges of the area are, like this place for example, and just make sure there's a wall there so you can fill the entire thing up with water going around. So we've sort of taken this big open area, dug away a couple of patches of it, fill in these spaces, and we're ready to go. So all I need to do now is get a water source going over here, and then use my bucket, go across in a diagonal line, and we should fill this up in no time. Boy oh boy, am I getting sick of the sound of this bucket slooshing away. Solution, I like that word. And we're almost done here. Look at this. There is a block just over there, which means that a source block can't form above it, which is kind of what we were experimenting a moment ago. As soon as we do that, it's going to fill up over to here, and now you can see we've got ourselves a giant lake. Now we can probably dig away a little bit of this here, which is going to be good, and the water might actually form itself between all of these gaps. However, as you can see, there is a lot of ice forming around the edges. Now ice will form next to a block. It won't form out in the middle of the lake, so it may also be a good idea here just to throw down a couple of blocks here and there so that ice can start spreading from the center as well, right? And that'll just make it all a little bit more efficient. Now this thing is almost done. I'm going to fill in the space we just dug behind us, go find another ice river to mine, and then come back here, and we should have a reasonable amount of ice. So I've filled up my ice box. We're going to take what we can from here and then head home. And you can see, not fully spread yet, but it's a decent amount, enough to get a few more stacks from here. And that's what I'll do. I'll just harvest it and head back home, okay? My game is being a little bit shaky at the moment, and I've got a feeling it's all of the transparency going on in this area. We got water, we got glass, and now we got stacks of ice as well. These go diagonally from the sides into the corners, and it means that when we break all of these blocks, they can create source blocks at every single position in this tub that we've got right here. So the experiment that we did earlier was to figure out if we can break the ones at the bottom and have them form water sources while there's flowing down water above them, which I believe they can. So what we've got to go ahead and do is break all of this ice, but there is a catch. We'd probably want to start from the the bottom and work our way up, but actually we need a block to be underneath this stuff every time we break it. You know, I'm keeping the cobblestone here, and I'm starting to ask myself why. Do I need to keep the cobble here? No. But I kind of like it because it shows exactly where they can spawn. Maybe we can do something with that somehow. I'm not sure what, but anyway, we're going to do this. We're going to go across and break all of these. Now, because there is ice below, that will now have created a water source. Obviously, the top was already full of water sources, so that layer was actually kind of pointless. But now we can do the one below and then the one below that. And I'm not sure at what order things are going to happen in. When we get to the bottom, it might be that then there's a cascade effect and all of the water sources are generated one by one from the bottom upwards. So I'm going to be sure to record that because it could potentially cause a lot of lag. As if this transparency of the glass and ice wasn't causing some already. What kind of frames are we getting here? 80, it's good, it's good. Oh, dropping down to 50 now when we look in this direction. That's kind of worrying, and then looking in this direction it's back up to 90. So we're about to do the bottom row now, and the game has been getting less laggy, but this is where we could have our cascading effect, you know, all the water sources working from the bottom upwards now. And if ever there was a time to feel that, it would be right now, and everything feels absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do, is just swim around a little bit. Excellent. So here is where we removed a lot of land and had a lot of flowing water, and now I can go up it very quickly, which means we have successfully removed all of the flowing water, and I'll tell you why that's important in just a moment. The next thing that we're going to do though is go under here and just install the rails and get the minecart hopper system working. But before we do that, I'm going to remove the cobblestone from up the top here. This is what tells us the difference between the ocean and the Mushroom Island shore, as it's called. And you know why? It's because I've had an amazing idea, okay? I had a bit of a brainwave. We should put something in the floor at the bottom to show you what the biomes are. And from up here, unfortunately, you can't even see it. Oh, you remember I said I was going to put a window in this farm? Whenever we get around to doing that, hopefully we'll be able to see it then. If I drop in here, it becomes a little bit more visible, right? So I just turned this into glass. The reason I chose glass is so you could actually see the minecart go back and forth underneath as well, which I thought would be a really, really cool touch. And it looks like there's loads of bats that have spawned in there. We've created a bat farm again because that room is very dark. Oh. So now we take a big old leap forward in time, and we're ready to start this farm a-running. Now there's nothing in there to kill the squids yet. We'll get to that real soon, trust me. I'm going to go and put this hopper minecart just down there, and well, we could sort of peek in and have a look. Basically the entire floor has been covered with rails, and powered rails as well, and all of that jazz. And we're just setting up this EFO hopper clock here. Didn't I give myself 2 pieces of redstone? What happened there? And this is what we done at the sugarcane farm, and this is a pretty cool little technique, I think, actually, to use the detector on the comparator to then power that. Now the reason that we're doing it on a timer is because the squids are going to be dying quite often, and then their drops will despawn after 5 minutes. So this thing needs to do a trip pretty much every 5 minutes or less, and this will probably do less than 5 minutes, right? So if I chuck that in there, and for now you're just going to have to take a couple stacks of cobble, it's going to make a pulse. Every now and then that thing's going to go on its way, and when it gets back it's going to drop all the ink sacks into these chests. And of course at some point we will set up some sort of automation and ice streams to bring it back to the main part of our base, but for now that right there will do just fine. How are we going to kill these squidlets? I've been saying it a couple of times in this episode, and I've taken the time to make the thumbnail for this video, found some beautiful artwork by KNZ123, you can find a link to it in the description box down below. Decided to use that as the thumbnail, and now I know loads of people are going to be watching this video. They're going to be typing those comments saying, Asuma, we know you're a silly goose, we know how you're going to kill the squids. That's right, we're going to be using guardians, and just to the north of here we have a temple, an ocean monument. And I was watching Iscal's video because he did this earlier in the season. It was a really great thing, and I've been trying to get hold of him. Can't get hold of him, can't get hold of Mumbo either. Sometimes when you want to record with other peeps it just don't work out. And with Mumbo, what I was going to do was borrow some guardians from his area, because if you saw his recent video, he was actually using minecarts to get squids out of his farm. So that would be a great way to do this hassle-free, you know. Put the squids in a minecart, bring them over to the location, and you're done. And yes, I just said squids, and yes, that thing is going to zap me. What we need is our famous run-around pole in the middle here to break the line of sight. Never forget, run around in a circle. It's a great tip against these guardians. So I would have liked to have done this using Mumbo's farm, because it's a bit of a grind to move things through the nether on rails, but I've got a feeling this might be a little bit grindier. But I watched Iscal's video and picked up some of the things that he learned while he was doing this, and I'm a little bit disappointed to not see too many guardians at the moment. I might actually go back and get some night vision potions. Let's stick our head down here. Actually, we can see kind of fine, right? And there's other people online, so now might actually be a bad time for me to try this. Maybe I'll come back here later. But we want those guardians to swim up to the surface, and that's when we've got to try and capture them using boats. So I brought with me a stupid amount of jungle wood. Guess what we're going to do with this? We're going to basically plaster the area in boats. That seems to be a pretty good strategy. Right, there we go. 25 jungle boats. Excellent. And do I need the platform to be bigger than this? I don't think so. But I think it might be smart just to make it a little bit bigger first. We're going to stand on here and spend a lot of time here basically waiting for the guardians. I might also be too close for them to spawn as another consideration, but my idea was just to plaster this thing down with boats because we have a crazy amount of jungle wood, right? Never going to need to actually use it for anything. And then I was sort of wondering, once you place down a few, can you then sort of walk onto the boat and place... Oh, you can. Oh, look at that. So we could create like a grid, and I'm hoping that they would swim into this. And actually I can hear that one of them has come close by. So what Iscal was saying happens is that you stand on this platform and then the guardians start coming towards you. Now look at what's going on here. There's loads of guardians zapping the squid. And that's what we want them to do. Except they need to be doing it in my farm. And in fact the squids, they're sort of distracting the guardians. I need them to pay attention to me, you know. Right, looks like we got things spawning. So another thing that would be good here would be like a ladder to go up into the sky. That being said, if I just do this and then come back down again, hopefully that would have given them some space to spawn in, right? Remember, spawning happens based on the player location. If I'm higher up in the sky by, let's say, 20 blocks, they'll be able to spawn at the water here, but not when I'm here as well. So, you can see with me, we've got loads of boats, we've got some golden apples in case I get in a hairy situation, and now comes the grind, where I've just got to hang out here for a while, and that is kind of not what I wanted to do to get these things moving around. I am basically going to be placing down boat after boat, and trying to capture some guardians. Oh, look at that guy! Look at that guy! Hi! Get it! No, 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 no! I had to turn the boat. Come on, that's close. Come to the surface, buddy. Come to the surface. Oh, wow, we absolutely bumped into this guy then. And that wasn't enough, apparently. Oh, let's see if there's any others that are close. Nope, it was just that fella. Hey! Did you see that? I was literally looking at it because it just started firing at me, and then it went into the boat. So that's terrific. Apparently it can still shoot at me in the boat, which makes this problematic. And I got a name tag for it, so it doesn't despawn. That is Dinnerbone. I was going to rename this to something else, and then I thought, well, actually, having some upside-down guardians could be a little bit of a novelty. You kind of wouldn't be able to tell, though, looking at him from over here. It just looks like a regular guardian. So that guy's going to keep shooting at me, which means it's probably a good idea to move it out of range. So let's plop down a couple more boats. By the way, these sort of nudge each other, right? So if I go over here where they've been neatly organised and I try and place one in the middle here, or there, they basically nudge each other about and they all spread out. Come on, I'm trying to show the peep sign. There we go, look, and then they all nudge each other, right? And I'm getting shot at, and I'm waffling. But I'm still recording. Why? Because I'm going to hop in this boat. Oh, let me in the boat. And we're going to get out of here. Right, which way to my island? It's over here. Okay, I'm going to just drop them off over at this edge. Well, would you know, another one. I just turned around and that fella was sitting in a boat. That's terrific. Good job, good job. I'm going to ride this one with you and take you over to the other fella. Hey, there we go. Did we just get two more at once? Oh. I need to swim around this thing. So here's what I did. I swam out and I went into a guardian who was on the surface and I couldn't pick it up in the boat. And before I could hit record, I turned around and there were a couple more. So I think where we swam out, some of the guardians then came into where the boats were. And do you know what? I'm lucky they didn't despawn actually flying away like that. And we got ourselves two more. And now I need to run around this thing again. And I think we're going to knock this on its head because it could take a long time. 4 of them will be pretty good to get this farm up and running. Apparently it's now 5. Excellent. And then if I want to come here and get some more, I can do that in a live stream or something, right? That is a very bad glitch to be experiencing right now. Okay, let's get you. You've been renamed, right? Excellent. Let's get you out of here. Yeah, so we could come back and get more during a live stream. I'll also tidy up that area because it looks pretty janky as well, right? Having all those boats lying around. So I could bring this one and drop it off over here, right, with the other two. Or I could just go all the way around to the ink farm, which we're going to have to make a couple of trips with our friend on the back here. Dinnerbone the Guardian. He's looking for some inks. Look at his eye, it's upside down. Yeah, so I'll swim all the way around there and drop this guy off in the tank. So the problem we have here is they're all hanging out together and they all like to shoot at me at the same time. I'm going to break 3 of these to get them in and we're going to take them in one at a time. So I'm being shot at, but oh no, hang on a second. Okay, so I've got to drop below the glass. Well, that's a real bother. So, look at that, I'm getting zapped at. And my health's getting kind of low. Let's hop out of the box. The box? The boat. Just for a second. Where's my food? It's on me offhand. It's in the right place already. Jeez. Sort it out. Well, we got on there eventually, but not without my cats teleporting to me a fair few times. So now it's all about breaking the boats. This is where we want to press F3 and B. And then we want to hit it with the axe. And we don't want to hit the Guardian. Oh, and I don't want to fall into the water. Now I'm going to get zapped again. Let's throw an ender pearl and get away. Okay. Crisis averted. Let's jump onto the glass this time. Okay, now hit the hitbox of the boat and jump away. And I got hit again. Come on, Mr. Cat. I'm safe. I appreciate you teleporting over to me. But you need to get back up here now. So, we've done it. I've got a little bit of tidying up to do here. We can turn off the hitboxes as well. All the Guardians are in there, and the first thing they've done is swim down to the very bottom, which was one of the reasons we had to stop it from having downwards flowing water is, because they wouldn't be able to swim back up. But you can see that one there is swimming back up just fine. So due to this episode taking me a lot longer than usual to record, I'm going to have to wrap things up now, and we're going to have to come back after I've been playing in the area for a while and see if we have gotten any ink sacks from the farm, because I don't have no time to AFK right now. So that's going to be it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and if you have, leave a like on the video. As always, thank you for the support, and I'll see you in the next episode of Hermitcraft. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.